you ever imagined waking up to a world without phones or modern cities only? A towering castle wrapped in mist? And the distant echo of war drums breaking the silence of dawn? Have you ever imagined being told, since childhood, that your life does not belong to you alone, but is a sacred oath bound to honor? What if you were a samurai in feudal Japan? What if your family name were your first armor, or sword, your second soul, and even your death, a choice to preserve your dignity? Your story begins the day you were born, in a wooden house within a domain ruled under the shogunate, founded by Tokugawa Ieyasu. You are born into a silent destiny. You're not an ordinary child, but the heir to a lineage of warriors. Wrapped in simple cotton cloth, prayers for courage are whispered into your ear. Before you even understand the meaning of fear, your father, a samurai who served his lord faithfully, looks at you not only as a parent, but as a teacher who sees in you the making of a warrior. At 3 or 4 years old, your first lessons begin. No noisy toys, only precise bows before elders. You learn how to walk with measured steps and sit with a straight back. You are given a small wooden sword not to fight, but to understand that one day this wood will become steel. That tests your spirit before your body. Learn your letters, holding a brush to write wisdom and poetry, because a true samurai is not merely a weapon of war, but a balanced soul who unites pen and blade. You grow stronger. At 10 years old, your real training begins. You wake before sunrise, dew still covering the grass. You run long distances to strengthen your legs. Practice swordsmanship with heavy wooden blades. Take blows and rise again. Your master teaches you that pain is not an enemy, but a harsh instructor. You train in archery, planting your feet firmly into the earth, drawing the bowstring, holding your breath, releasing the arrow as though releasing a part of your spirit. In adolescence, you are taught the principles of Bushido, loyalty, courage, honesty, self-control, compassion. You are told that honor is more precious than life itself, and that betrayal is a stain only blood can erase. You practice meditation under the teachings of Zen Buddhism, sitting for hours in stillness, until you learn how to empty your heart of turmoil before ever gripping your sword. Then comes a solemn day, the first time you wear your armor. The plates are fastened tightly around your body, and you are handed a real katana. When you touch its hilt, you feel a weight, not only of steel, but of responsibility. You are told the sword is the soul of the samurai. To lose it is to lose yourself. You enter the service of your daimyo. You live within a stone castle surrounded by moats. Guard duty is not simply standing at gates. It is constant readiness. Your army may be summoned to a decisive battle, like the one that changed Japan's future at Sekigahara. There you stand in tight formation, hearing the clash of armor and the screams of horses. Mud clings to your feet. Arrows tear through the air above you. Your heart pounds, but you do not retreat. You step forward steadily, your blade gleaming. Your eyes not searching for survival, but for faithfulness to your oath. Years pass, and peace settles under the shogunate. Battles are no longer daily, but your discipline does not fade. Your duties shift to managing the domain, protecting roads, training the next generation. You study refined arts, the tea ceremony, garden design, poetry. You come to understand that in times of peace, a samurai battles the chaos within himself. As fiercely as he once battled enemies in the field, you marry in a modest ceremony accompanied by traditional drums. When you hold your first child, you realize the cycle has begun again. You teach him to bow before you teach him to wield a sword. You watch him stumble through his first steps, knowing his path will be longer and harsher than he can imagine. But life is not constant glory. You may lose your lord in political struggle and become a ronin, a samurai without a master. Here lies the greatest test. Can you preserve your honor in poverty and uncertainty? Can you work as a guard or teacher when you once stood proudly on battlefields? You remind yourself that honor does not depend on status, but on steadfastness. In old age, your hair turns gray, though your back remains unbent. You sit in a quiet garden, watching maple leaves fall. You remember the faces of those you fought beside, and the names of those you lost. You touch the sword that accompanied you for decades, and realize your greatest victories were not won in combat, but in the moments you chose mercy over anger, patience over recklessness. And if one day you commit a grave mistake beyond forgiveness, you know the ritual of seppuku. A heavy decision, yet lighter than living without dignity. But if you have remained faithful to your code, you may die peacefully, surrounded by your children, your sword at your side, your name spoken with respect. Such would be your life if you were a samurai in feudal Japan. A birth beneath heavy expectations. A childhood learning to bow before standing tall. A youth where your spirit is forged before your body. Manhood tested in war and peace alike. In an old age reflecting on the meaning of honor, so would you endure. Would you choose honor, even at the cost of your life, if you were the samurai? Would your blade reflect the face of a true warrior, or the face of a man afraid of his destiny?